We are back with former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, the catastrophe that you're warning us about, which I've been teasing throughout the show, what is it?
Well, I was asked by the Heritage Foundation to speak as part of their National Defense Month, and I outlined the fact that you could have a nuclear event, you could have an electromagnetic pulse attack, which would knock out all the electricity in the country, you could have a biological attack, you could have a cyber attack which knocked out by taking out the information systems, large parts of the country, or you could have a breakout in a form we don't understand because some of the science that's developing around the world is not in the United States. We don't know what it is anymore. And my point was that if you're thinking about, my vision is that we want to be safe, prosperous, and free. And the safe comes first, because if you're not safe, you're not going to get the prosperity and freedom. I think we are really underestimating how dangerous the world is.
So what, I mean, if that's true, I mean, all those things are terrifying. It makes me want to run down the basement like in the 50s shelter and get some canned goods. How would you do things differently?
Well, first of all, it means you have to have a more robust and a more significant national security and homeland security system. It means you've got to control the border. It means you have to have an intelligence system that you're supporting, not one you're undermining every morning. It means that you have to think about a robust missile defense, but you've also got to think about, in a very serious way, North Korea and Iran. These two countries are drifting steadily towards becoming much more dangerous. You just came back from India. You look at the situation in Pakistan, which has a significant number of nuclear weapons. We all focus on Iran, which is trying to get nuclear weapons, or North Korea, which has 2 or 3. But Pakistan has a significant number of nuclear weapons and a relatively unstable country. And I think you've got to ask, and then there's the fact that I think we have this terrible dilemma that the more successful we are at stopping terrorist attacks, the easier it is for people to relax and say, why are you worried? It's kind of like, you know, your seatbelt works, why do you keep putting it on? Well, there are people around the planet who get up every morning trying to figure out how to kill Americans. And the fact that for the last 7 years we have been pretty successful stopping them should not kid us. I mean, we have been actively trying to stop terrorist attacks on a daily basis worldwide. And my point in the speech at Heritage was, we have to fundamentally rethink our national defense system. We have to recognize that we have both a short-term problem, where I think Secretary Gates is being very serious about trying to reshape the budget, but we have a long-term challenge. China is going to be a significant competitor, not an enemy, but a significant competitor in the next 25 years. If we underfund science and technology and new developments and new capabilities, we're going to find ourselves one morning in a very disadvantageous position that could become very dangerous. And I'll just, my only point to every American is, look, we have been amazingly fortunate since 1945. We're the most powerful nation in the world, and that's been good. Taking the risk of growing weaker and taking the risk of letting other people compete more effectively means we will be in much greater danger and will be much less safe. And in an age of the kind of weapons I described to you, that could manifest itself not in a military defeat over there. That could manifest itself in a catastrophic event that fundamentally changes American life.
President Bush every morning got up and dealt with all these problems on his plate. I assume that President Obama is likewise doing it and taking it seriously, both of them. Is there anything profoundly different that you would do? I mean, these are problems. These are not problems that can be resolved overnight.
Look, I would do things profoundly different from both President Bush and President Obama. I would take the electromagnetic pulse problem, for example, very seriously. My friend and co-author Bill Fortune just wrote a very good novel called 1 Second After, which really shows you what would happen in a small town in North Carolina if we were attacked with electromagnetic pulse. It's like a giant lightning strike. It knocks out the electric generators, it knocks out all these lights, it knocks out the television, it knocks out your telephone, and it does it permanently, it doesn't come back. So you suddenly have, for example, every person who depends on insulin can't get any more because the refrigeration's gone. Every schizophrenic who's depending on drugs can't get them because they're not delivered
anymore. Every breathing machine in every hospital and every surgeon.
It is overnight, it is a catastrophe. That's one. Two, nuclear weapons are real. We have people out there trying every morning to figure out a way to get a nuclear weapon or a dirty bomb, which is a very inefficient nuclear weapon. My only point is we need to have a much more robust national security strategy, a much more robust homeland security strategy, and there's a simple measure. Are we controlling the border? I mean, if we're not controlling the border, who are we kidding?
All right, well, we obviously need to have a long discussion about this, and I'm going to draft you to come back and do that.
I'll do it.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, sir.
Great to be